Hi guys, I hope that you can see this okay. So I decided to make some resin bowls, some minis, a medium, and a large. And I just wanted to show you how I do it. So I have this tape secured over the edges of the bowl because I wanted to do a scalloped effect. And so when the resin is at the right consistency, when I can handle it without leaving fingerprint marks, but when it's still pliable, then I take it out of the mold. And for those of you who may not be familiar what I use for a mold, this is a silicone mold. So this would be used for something similar to this style. This one is a little bit larger than what I've got in the dish right now. So I have several of these molds in different shapes and sizes. So let's see. There we go. So here's a interesting bowl with some funky effects around the edging. And I love, I don't know if you can see it too clearly, but the lacing effects that I was able to get with the gold on this Thornton shimmer pigment that I purchased from Artworks Resin Canada. Check her out. I will put a link to her shop. She's located out of Airdrie. She is knowledgeable, ships super fast, and has so many products available. Sorry, this is going to be a little loud. Maybe I'll do it on maybe I'll just do it over to the side. I basically will just slam this down until this guy releases. I don't want to make you guys deaf. That is not coming out by doing that. Normally it will. So this one is being a bit stubborn, which I don't normally have an issue with, but I'm just going to do a little heat action on it to see if it'll release a little easier, which I'm sure it will. So please bear with me. There we go. So sometimes I have a hard time deciding if I should put the top side or the bottom side up, if that makes sense. When I pour it into a mold like this, you take it out, you got the top, and then you flip it over, you've got the bottom, and a lot of times the glitter will sink to the bottom. So it depends on what effect happens with the pigments. For example, this one, I don't want to have the bottom. I didn't use glitter in the middle on this one. So, and because this is the edge, you can see the glitter perfectly from all sides, or both sides. But this lacing effect doesn't happen on the bottom. So I definitely wanted this top side up. Here's another little bowl I did with some of the gold and Thornton shimmer pigment that I had left over from the big bowl. So I've got some sharp edges, so I'll just clean that up with a little X-Acto knife, and then I like to put edging, either glitter around the edges or just a gold shimmer with a metallic paint pen. And this is another bowl with, I believe, the Thornton shimmer again, and some more gold lacing. This is the medium size bowl. Oh yes, and this one I did with the flower mold. I will show you in a second here. So this is the flower mold that I have that made this dish. So it has petals around it. I'm not sure I love the shape of this. I had actually a different vision for that it would be laid out a little bit more rather than standing up. But to be honest, I used a different resin this time. So normally I use the Artworks resin and I can handle it within like 5 hours of pouring, and this time I use the iCoat medium, and I mean, I think it was 8 hours and it was still quite limp, and so it didn't behave in a way that I was used to. Still okay, still not sure what I'm gonna do with it. I could heat it up and see if I can relax some of the petals, but actually it's been probably a bit too long. I think this bowl has been sitting in here for like probably over 24 hours. So I may not be able to soften, but I'm gonna try. Yeah, it does actually bend a little bit yet. So the key thing is catching the resin in the like the little window of opportunity, I call it, because that will allow you to handle it, shape it, bend it without leaving fingerprints, but also before it cures too much. Because if it goes past a certain time frame, and that is very dependent on which resin brand you're using, but if it goes past a certain window of opportunity in terms of time, like the time it takes to cure, like if I probably, like I said, this is a newer resin that I'm using, but I'm gonna guess that if I let this sit for 4 days or so, that it would be way too hard, and the heat wouldn't basically, it wouldn't soften the resin enough, and therefore I would just have to leave it as is. But because this has been more like 24 or 30 hours, then I'm just trimming up the little sharp edges that I get. But because this is still within that time frame, then you can see I can still bend it when I apply heat. You may also notice the difference in thickness from this side compared to this. That is because for some reason my leveling, like my table that I was using when I set my mold down on the table, if the surface isn't flat, then you're gonna notice it after you take it out of the mold. It's not like a deal breaker, but it is pretty thin. Like I'd like it more even, and normally I do get an even result, so I need to just double check, re-level, I guess. Maybe it was a specific spot on the table that wasn't quite level. So leveling, having a level surface to do your resin on is pretty important. This, what I'm working on right now, is a 24-inch by 48-inch. Essentially, it's a mold as well. It's not made with silicone. It's made with HDPE plastic. Resin won't stick to it. So I purchased this from Makers Reusable Molds. They're located out of Ontario. Love supporting Canadian companies, other small businesses, and they're phenomenal in terms of products and customer service. And so I purchased this probably over a year ago now, and I use it for all kinds of things, and I can talk about that in another video, or if you guys have any questions, just message me. I'm always happy to answer questions. I could talk about resin for days. I've been doing it for probably about 3.5 years now. And this is what I would call my almost full-time job. So I've gotten a lot of experience over the years in different products and experiments. I feel like if I don't experiment, I get bored, but I won't learn much. So that's what I've sort of been doing for the last several years. yeah, this is going to be actually a very nice, in my mind, a very nice dish in the end. The parts where it's the resin is thinner is, it won't take much heat because there's not a lot of resin to go through. So this is very easy to bend compared to this. So it is a bit easier to work with. A depth, I would say, between this and this. This is, I don't know. I want to say 1/4 inch, but not quite. Yeah, this is like, I'm not very good at I would say this is 1/8 and 2 ticks. My husband always laughs at me because I know that there are specific numbers that correlate with the measurements, but the way my mind works, I can never remember what it is. So you may have a laugh as well. Anyway, I'll probably just work with this a little bit more to get it exactly how I want it, and then put the edging on, and I've got myself a really pretty bowl. And this, I might relax these edges a little bit as well as this. The key is just finding what kind of bowl you want to shape your resin in. So I've got a couple of different shapes and size bowls here that I've been using. And I have a big plastic one, and I have a fancy one, so with a deeper bottom. So again, it just depends on what shape you're going for and that sort of thing. So there we have some nice bowls. Oh, and I'm just thinking I have a couple more over here. So there we are, all different shapes and sizes. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good day.